What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Misplayed Magic, the only Magic the Gathering channel doing giveaways based on how I draft. You'll see up on the screen here, if I get 0 wins in this draft, I'm giving away a collector booster pack. All the way down to 7 wins, I'll be giving away a draft to one of you. All you have to do is like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on how I did. Before we jump into the draft here, we are going to spin our challenge wheel to make things a little bit more difficult for ourselves. So today's challenge today is that we are going to be mana screwed, meaning we can't take any fixing. We can't take dual lands, we can't take Evolving Wilds, we cannot take any lands that would help us with our fixing. We might play straight 3 colors, we might just play straight 2 colors. We'll go ahead and jump into it here. Alright, had a little bit of a buffer there. Jumping into our first pack, I think we'll probably go with a 2-color deck here. Although, if we were to have a really tough time with our lands, we could take something like an Encroaching Dragonstorm that could help us get all of our colors the old-fashioned way. So, definitely might do that here. I do think Static Snare is a super solid removal spell. Armament Dragon is pretty decent. Piercing Exhale is okay. I'm not super interested in the new way forward. We actually are going to pick up a Static Snare here as a really solid removal spell. Jumping into this next pack, I do think Death Begets Life is really solid. It's really solid. If we wanted to go with more of an aggressively slanted deck with our Static Snare, we could go with a Teeming Dragonstorm or a Fortress Kinguard here, but Death Begets Life is really good. Really, really good. So I think we're going to pick that here. And we might end up playing 3 colors. We'll see what we do here. Moving on into our third pick. Looks like there's a lot of Mardu cards in this deck. There's a Shock Brigade, a Salt Road Pack Beast, a Channel Dragonfire, a Mardu Monument, and a Salt Road Skirmish. I think for us, I'm not seeing any blue or green cards that I'm loving. Like Unending Whisper is totally fine. So I think I'm just going to take an Unending Whisper here. It's fine. I really want to make the Death Begets Life work. I realize the Salt Road Pack Beast would go better with the Static Snare, but I really want to see if we can make that Sultai Bomb rare work. So we're going to at least put a good effort towards it here today. Moving on into our next selection here. We could go... Wow, there's already not a lot here. I think Champion of Doosan is probably our pick. Dragonback Lancer's okay. Unrooted Ancestor's bad. Wingspan Stride is bad. Draco Genesis is not a limited card. So we're going to go with a Champion of Doosan here. Maybe we'll be like a blue-green shell, and then we'll maybe splash black to play this Death Begets Life. So we're going to take a fresh start here. Really excited to pick up that removal effect. Now looking into our 6th selection here. So the Krumar Initiate is totally fine. It's totally passable. I do think Undergrowth Leopard is also just fine. Humbling Elders, okay. Nightblade Brigade is okay. So I'm really between the Undergrowth Leopard as a solid 2/2 and then the Krumar Initiate. I think for me, it looks like black might be somewhat open. I'm going to take the Krumar Initiate as a kind of a speculative pick here. Heading on into our 7th pick. Looks like there are a couple blue cards here that are good. We're very excited to pick up a Sibsig Appraiser as a great creature that can kind of smooth out our curve here. Heading on into this next selection. So I'm not sure if we're going to be blue, black, splash, green. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to look like, especially since we can't take any mana fixing. So the best cards in this pack, the Riverwalk Technique is a totally fine removal spell. Kintree Nurture is also a super decent creature. It's also like kind of fun with the Death Begets Life. You get to draw 2 different cards. So I'm in between those 2 here. I am going to go with the Riverwalk Technique here as a super decent removal spell. And we'll maybe play like a blue-black control deck. And then hopefully the Death Begets Life will be able to take over in the late game for us. Heading on into this next selection, we could take a Sultai Devotee. That would help us with our colors a little bit. So we could take that as a 2-drop, or we could take a Kintree Nurturer. I'm not entirely sure we're going to be playing black or green, so I'm going to take a Sultai Devotee here. It'll help us cast the Death Begets Life, and hopefully help out our mana a little bit. Here I actually am okay picking up a Gormog Nightwatch as a decent 3-drop. Now we will take Country Nurture has been following us. We'll pick one up here. That is a really late Salt Road Pack Beast. So maybe a sign that white is particularly open. Although these packs are getting hard to read with everyone just drafting 5-color decks. Here, I don't think we're particularly interested in anything. We'll take a Reigning Victor just in case. We'll take a Boulderborn Dragon just in case. So many Wingspan Strides. Alright, moving into our second pack here. Our rare is the Herd Heirloom, which I'm actually pretty intrigued by. We don't have any huge targets yet, and this only is to cast a creature spell, so I'm not positive that's going to be our selection here. We could also take a Constrictor Sage. Synchronized Charge can be good. Unending Whisper can be good. Dragon's Prey is a really solid removal spell, of which we don't really have any right now. I think for me, I'm going to go with the upside here and take the Herd Heirloom. I think it has the potential, if we pick up some big threats later on in this draft, to really help us out. Now moving into our next selection, I do think Lie in Wait is the perfect card for this Sultai looking deck. It's a really good removal spell. It allows us to get some value from our graveyard, so we're happy picking that up here. Alright, continuing on here, we could take another Lie in Wait, which would be pretty strong. We're going to struggle to cast it, but it is really quite good in these Sultai decks. Could also take a Sagu Pummeler as a totally fine 4-drop. Could potentially cheat that out with the Heirloom and then give it Trample and draw some cards, but I think us taking the second Lie in Wait is just going to be the most upside here for us. Moving along here, we could take a Sarkhan's Resolve as a decent removal spell and pump effect. I don't think we're going to be playing a super stompy deck here. We could also take an Ice Ridge Serpent if we're going for maximum control. I'm not a huge fan of any of the black cards here. Whale of War, I guess, could be good in our Sultai looking deck, so maybe we want something like that. I think for now we're just going to take an Ice Ridge Serpent. And hopefully one of those other cards will wheel. Wow, so that is a late Eshki Dragonclaw. We have a couple of the colors there already. I think we owe it to ourselves to pick this up just for the potential here. Our mana base is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem here for sure. We cannot take an Evolving Wilds. So here, I do think we want to prioritize things like the Sagu Wildling that can go get us colors in a non-traditional way. Here, we're very excited to pick up another Sultai Devotee, so hopefully that will help us filter our mana a little bit here. But having the Lie in Wait as a hard 3-color card and the Eshki Dragonclaw as well like that, we might have some problems today. We might run into some issues here. Hopping into this next selection, I do think we want cards like the Roamer's Routine that can help us go get our lands, because we can't take any of the dual lands, tri-lands, or the land fixing here. Now, it looks like the Constrictor Sage came all the way back around to us. I actually do want that card a decent amount. It does a good job of controlling things, and then hopefully we can cast it with our Heirloom. Now, I'm not a huge fan of any of these cards. It's between a Cruel Truce or a Humbling Elder for me. We're going to take a Humbling Elder. I'm not positive that's making the final cut here. Looks like we are really drying up here in terms of our last picks. We'll take another Roamer's Routine. We're actually pretty excited about that. It's not a great Magic card, but for us and wanting to play a bunch of different colors without any dual lands, I think it's going to make some sense here as we'll collect these last couple of cards out of the pack. Alright, heading into our first selection of this last pack, we have 2 rares. One is called the Spirit Dragons, which would be hilarious if we did this with no fixing. I don't think we want to go that route. At our other rare is the Sirach Elusive Hunter, which is pretty great. I think we're very excited to pick this up. It goes well with the Heirloom, and then potentially can help us draw some cards. It's just like a super solid 3-mana 4/3. Could take another Sultai Devotee, could take another Champion of Doosan, but we're pretty excited to pick up the Sirach here as we head into this last pack. Looking now into our next selection here, we could take a Caustic Exhale as a totally fine removal spell. I think we're going to be playing a blue-green base here, and then splashing black for the Lie in Wait and the Death Begets Life. So here I really want to prioritize blue cards and green cards. So we could take a Dusty Earthcarver for the top of our curve. We could also just take a Bewildering Blizzard as a pretty decent control-y card. I'm going to take the Earthcarver just because I feel like we need some top-end creatures. And here we are more than happy picking up a late Lotus Light Dancers. So we'll be splashing black there as well. Responsible pick would probably be like a Fresh Start or a Soggy Wildling. But we're going to go with the fun thing here. We're taking the Lotus Light Dancers. There's a couple of things we could put into our graveyard that are worth getting back. Heading on now into our fourth pick. I do think we want to prioritize creatures. So we only have 2 2-drops. So smart thing would probably be to go and get ourselves something like an Anak Wayfarer that can help us get some lands. So I think we're going to do the responsible thing here and take the 2-drop. I will say Sipsig Appraiser is good. The Goldkeeper is certainly interesting. Something like a Spectral Denial might make some sense, but we're going to go with the Wayfarer here. I feel like we just need some cheap, good creatures. Moving on, we could take a Whirling Stormbrood, which is totally passable. Could also take another Unending Whisper, could take an Attuned Hunter, but I think we've got enough 3-drops right now. So I'm actually looking at a little bit more of our top end and taking this Whirling Stormbrood. So we're going to pick that up here. Continuing on, we're actually very excited to pick up a Piercing Exhale. It's not the greatest removal spell, and we're a little light on creatures, but I think it's going to be decent enough in our deck. Now we will pick up a Focus the Mind. We could do a Snakeskin Veil, we could do a Sarkon's Resolve, but I think us being able to draw cards is going to be super important here, so we can go try and find something like a Death Begets Life. Continuing on here, I'm not sure we want the Kishla Village. We'll try it. I don't know. If there ever was a deck to make it work, it would be this one. Now we're more than happy picking up another Sultai Devotee here. So we've got 4 2-drop creatures. Now we feel decent about that. We're now sitting at 14 creatures, 11 non-creatures. Rite of Renewal is kind of interesting. I mean, the card's not great, but in this deck it could be good. We'll take it. I don't know if we're going to end up putting it into our final deck here, but you never know. Now we would love to take some land fixing, but we won't. We'll take a Kin Tree Nurturer. I doubt we'll play it. And this is a hilarious looking deck. We had the challenge today of taking no land fixing, and we decided to draft a 4-color deck. So maybe not our brightest decision, but I do think this deck's power level is okay. So we're going to have to draw really hot here. We'll probably have to go get a mountain with the Sagu Wildling or either of our Roamer's routines here. I'm going to jump in and make a last couple cuts here, and then we will hop into it. Alright, so here is the deck we were rocking with today. Our mana is going to be a problem. Playing 4 colors was probably not our brightest decision, but I think the Eshki can be really good. I like the value we're going to get with the Lotus Light Dancers and the Death Begets Life. So let's jump into it here. We're going to try and make this work, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, hopping into this first game here. We do go first. I think we are going to keep this. We can play our Anak Wayfarer on 2, then our Sipsig Appraiser or our Champion of Doosan on 3. So more than happy with this start here. We draw our Mountain, which is pretty interesting. We're going to go ahead and play the Wayfarer here. So we did mill our Death Begets Life, which is kind of tragic. Next turn we'll be sure to play an Island, and we'll try to play our Sipsig Appraiser. And then we might honestly start to get some value with the Kishla Village if we don't have anything else to do with our mana. Here we will take an Eshki Dragonclaw into our hand. We can hard cast it next turn, which is kind of hilarious. Didn't have that on my bingo card with our mana here, but we'll take it. Looks like they're going to Caustic Exhale our Styptic Appraiser, which is fine by me. So here I actually am just going to play out the Champion of Doosan, and we're going to pass the turn. My logic here is that we can then next turn play the Herd Heirloom and then play the Eshki Dragonclaw. It'll turn into a 6/6, and then we'll draw a card because we're casting a non-creature and a creature spell. So hopefully that's the right logic here. If they can remove it, it's kind of bad news. Looks like they're also playing a bit of a value game here on the other side. So here we will continue with our plan, playing the Herd Heirloom, and then casting our Eshki Dragonclaw. And then we are going to get a little bit aggressive with our attacks here, knowing we have a 6/6 that can block next turn if it needs to. Then following this, we can play our Earth Carver and potentially give our Eshki Trample, and then if it does damage, we draw a card. I'd assume they'll remove it here. Dragon's Prey is pretty good. Yep. So that's not what we wanted to see, but we still can go with the Earth Carver here. I do think we are interested in attacking with the Champion of Doosan and drawing a card. We'll take out their Alchemist's Assistant, and then we'll still be able to play our Earth Carver here. Which I do think we want to just take the extra body here. We can still do the trampling with the Earth Carver itself as a 4/4, and then hopefully we can start to draw some action. So we're going to get the Roiling Dragonstorm back here, but we're going to get some pretty decent value with the... We'll see if they cast it. Ooh, interesting. So we got to get a little bit aggressive here. So we draw another land, which is not exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to put the counter on the Elephant here. And then, since they're tapped out, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Hopefully we can draw a card that is some amount of action here. Lie in Wait is pretty solid. I think we're just going to cast that here with our Eshki Dragonclaw and take out the Boulderborn Dragon. I guess we could have waited until next turn. We could have maybe cast the Dragonclaw after playing the Lion Weight. Maybe that would have made some more sense here, but I think this sets us up to have our biggest attack if they don't have any action on their side. So I do think we're going to start by attacking. We have lethal as it stands. I want to see what they do here before I give one of these creatures the ability. So Inevitable Defeat is good. So we're going to target the other elephant. And we can draw a card here. We do draw another land. I think we're interested next turn in... we should probably just get the Dragonclaw out there. Let's put it out there. So here they can take out either us or our Enoch Wayfarer, which is okay by me. Wow, that's a lot of lands for us.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
So we've drawn, I guess we've drawn a lot of cards too. So we're going to start by going to combat. I think we're okay trading our Eshki with the dragon here, if it comes to that. And then we will give the other elephant us drawing a card. So just clearing the battlefield out a little bit here. Oh my goodness! We've got a tremendous amount of lands.
Wow! Beautiful!
I guess we'll play one out. And then we'll start surveilling. 15. We've drawn 15 of our lands. So the rest of our deck is 2 out of 15 cards are lands. So we'll see what we'll do here. Stormplane Detainment is good. Looks like they're going to take the Heirloom. Abzan Devotee is fine. We are going to Surveil 2. Another land. So I do think we want the Lotus Light Dancers here. I think the only thing they can do is put the lifelink counter onto the Abzan Devotee. So I am going to go get, I believe we have an Unending, oh, Constrictor Sage is interesting. We could go get an Unending Whisper. And then we can go get a Roamer's Routine. So I'm going to get the Roamer's Routine, the Constrictor Sage, and then I don't want to get the Lion Weight. So we'll do it like this. And then go to combat, we will attack like so. Well, we might actually want to... I'm actually going to hold off on that. I want to Surveil 2 instead. So if we pick up like another Roamer's Routine, we can put it back. Because if we go with the Roamer's Routine here, we wouldn't be able to also Surveil 2. Oh, I guess we can anyway because we didn't have a forest. So let's go... I do think we want to Constrictor Sage the Abzan Devotee. We'll play out our Sultai Devotee. And then on their turn this time we'll successfully use our Kishla Village. Alright, we get there in game 1. Alright, hopping into this next game. We go first. We don't have a forest, so we can't cast any creature out of our hand. I do think, sadly, we have to mulligan that. See, this is much better here. I do think we'll put back the Roamer's Routine. I just don't want it right now. That way we can go Sultai Devotees into the Sirach. So we'll start out with our Sultai Devotee. Piercing Exhale goes good alongside that Death Touch. We have all the Sultai Devotees here. I'm excited to play the Sirach here. It can't be countered, so if they had a counter spell, it kind of goes through that, which is kind of satisfying for us. Okay, it's just going to die. We'll get a card, though, so not the end of the world. That is funny they had the counter in hand. Swiftwater Cliffs gets them some life back here. I do think we're going to start by attacking. And then we'll just play out our Champion of Doosan to potentially maximize our damage here. It looks like here they're getting potentially the Dispelling Exhale or the Glacial Dragon Hunt back. So we are pretty excited now. We can go with the... I think we want to just maximize our damage. So we're going to go other Sultai Devotee here. We'll Piercing Exhale their Monastery Messenger. We're not going to show a dragon. We're going to get them down to 11 here. And then next turn, if we draw a land, we can play the Lotus Light Dancers and get like a Constrictor Sage and maybe a Roamer's Routine. Constrictor Sage is quite good here. Looks like we're going to tap down our Sultai Devotee. I do think we're just going to continue attacking, being aggressively as we possibly can here. They choose to take 4. And now we'll play out our Lotus Light Dancers, and then hopefully our Constrictor Sage can bring us some value here. So Constrictor Sage we want. And then I do think we want to just go get the Roamer's Routine. I don't think we want to put any of the black cards into our graveyard, so we'll just submit those two. And then now hopefully the Constrictor Sage can get us some value here. Alright, we get there in game 2 as well. Just a clean, straight up victory. Alright, hopping into this next game. Our opponent does go first, but we're actually pretty excited with this hand. We can go Sultai Devotee into the Sirach. So, more than happy keeping this. We keep getting hands with 3 of our colors in our starting hand, so I really cannot complain too much here. So far the mana has not been the reason we've lost a game yet, but there's still time for that. Looks like they're going to go get a land here with the Sagu Wildly. So potentially a teamer deck, or it could just be a all colors deck, which we are familiar with. Gonna go with a Sultai Devotee here. It looks like it did somewhat hesitate on their turn, so maybe they have something like a Spectral Denial. I don't know what else they could be doing for 1 blue mana. Here I do think we're more than happy just playing our Sirach out. I'm going to start by attacking. If they want to block, that is fine by me. We'll play our Sirach out. That way, if they attack us next turn, we'll have a little bit of an aggressive counterattack. We also could chump our Sirach here and then lie in wait it next turn. So pretty fantastic now. We can get the Sirach back with the lie in wait, take out the Tani back, and then attack. So we're going to play our Swamp here. We're going to lie in wait the Sirach, take out the Tani back, and then attack for 2. I think they have Spectral Denial, and so they were going to maybe counter it for 1. So I'm happy with the way that we played our land before that. They've got a Humbling Elder.
Perfect.
Actually, is the flash play, so not a Spectral Denial. So that's a little unfortunate. We just lose a Sultai Devotee there, but that's okay. Next turn, we can Constrictor Sage whatever they play here, and then potentially go Sirach into the Focus the Mind. So still have got some optionality here. Eshki Dragonclaw is good. I do think we are interested in... I still do think we're going to play the Constrictor Sage and just tap down the Humbling Elder. It's not fantastic, but they have a Uranus rebuff in hand, so if they put this back into our hand, next turn we can tap down the Dragonclaw. So that's kind of my logic there, if they want to try and double spell here. So Songcrafter Mage is pretty solid with the knockout maneuver here. They can make their Eshki into a 7/7 now, which is pretty good. Yeah, so looks like they are going to go that route. We'll be able to tap it down on our next turn if we want to. I think that we are actually slightly more interested in going Sirach into Focus the Mind here, and we really are looking for Death Begets Life. So we don't see it here, unfortunately. And yeah, they do just have lethal as it stands, which is now fantastic. I guess we should have probably played out the Devotee as well. But with the rebuff, yeah, there's nothing we could have done there. Okay, so we lose this one, unfortunately. Alright, hopping into this next one here. Our opponent does go first, but I think we're more than happy keeping this. We can play our Sirach, we can play our Focus the Mind eventually, and then our game plan will just be to Death Begets Life to get maximum value here. So hopefully they have a quick-ish start, and we can kind of lure them to play out a bunch of cards. I do think we're interested in playing the Sirach on 3, just because it gives us the potential to draw more cards. We are going to want to go get lands for things like the Death Begets Life. And then if we want to Roamer's Routine next turn, we could actually do it twice now with the Sirach. So it's kind of my logic there. Plus, I think when you have a board sweep like this, you want to get a little bit aggressive. You want to totally show your hand and just do absolutely nothing. So they're going to play a war effort here, which is interesting. We are going to play the Roamer's Routine. Go get our Mountain. And then we're going to play it again, tapping down our Tarkir. And go and get a... we'll go and get an island. So now we only need one more land for the Death Begets Life, and then we can start getting a little bit defensive here. So they're not going to attack with the war effort, which is quite interesting. I do think we are just interested in playing out our Sultai Devotee into our Focus the Mind. We will pay the 2. Okay. We will discard an island. So looks like our opponent was looking for potentially a green source here. I think we are okay with that. So I'm going to play out the Herd Heirloom here. And then I do think we're going to start attacking. So I'm fine like drawing a card here if they want to block with a Sibsig Appraiser. And just get a ton of card advantage this way. Our Death Begets Life is fine, but I think we're actually going to start getting a little bit more aggressive here. And then if we need to, we can... So we do mill our Eshki, which is a bummer. But if we need to, we can use a Constrictor Sage to tap something down. Not sure exactly what they're sitting on at this point. Roar of the Endless Song is fantastic. Sultai Devotee is good. So now I do think we're going to be at least somewhat interested in Death Begetting Life. Not this next turn, but the one after that. So I'm going to tap down the... We also do have the lie in wait now. I think we might just want to pass. So I'm going to go get some more lands. I'm going to take a turn off here. If they want to attack us, they can. And then I'm going to let them keep playing out elephants. And we'll just keep drawing cards here. And we're just going to keep getting all of the lands out of our deck. So next turn I'll probably do this just because it takes out the Roar of the Endless Song and also the War Effort. And then we'll draw... We'll be careful not to deck ourselves. We'll be close to decking ourselves. But we'll draw a bunch of cards that way. I think we're actually more than happy blocking here so we don't deck ourselves. So we'll block like this. Kish the Skimmer is fine. Alright, so we're going to get some pretty insane value here with the Death Begets Life. And then hopefully we won't deck ourselves. Let's start by attacking. I'm a little nervous that we're gonna deck ourselves here. We've got 14 cards. We'll figure it out. We're gonna draw 7 here. So I do think we want to play out just both of our Sultai Devotees in terms of mana. We're going to have to discard some things here. Just one. I think we're going to discard a Constrictor Sage. Just because that gives us the most value. And now we'll look to just get as aggressive as we can here. So I'm going to go start by putting counters on the Sultai Devotee. And then we will go to combat. We've got 7 cards in. All right, we get it done there too. All right, hopping into our next game here. I do think we are excited to keep this. We can play our Anok Wayfarer on 2, and then potentially play our Sirach. They've got a Dragon Fireblade, so potentially a more aggressively slanted deck here. We're going to go with the Wayfarer first. Oh, we milled our Death Begets Life again, which is not ideal. They're going to go with the Shock Brigade here. I do think we're just going to play out our Sirach Elusive Hunter here. And then next turn, we actually could get somewhat aggressive with our Whirling Stormbrood and our Sirach here. We'll see if they spend their turn equipping the Shock Brigade here, making it into a 3/5. Ooh, they're not going to attack. Interesting. So, I do think we are interested. I think if they have a removal spell, they just use it on the Sirach there. So I think we're going to make a giant Sirach. And then next turn we can go Sultai Devotee into Focus the Mind, which I think feels pretty decent. I could have the wrong read. Maybe they have a 4 mana removal spell here, but my gut is telling me that they don't. So we're fine taking 4 here. Maybe they do just have a removal spell. We're going to start by playing our Herd Heirloom here. I do think we're going to try and draw a card off the Sirach here. Okay, they don't have a removal spell. That's huge. So we'll draw a card there, and then we'll draw some more cards with the Focus the Mind. We're probably going to discard our Roamer's Routine here, just for maximum value, being able to cast that out of our graveyard. And next turn, we potentially could put more counters on the Sirach. There's a lot of things that we could do here. Salt Road Pack Beast is not quite going to get it done here. So we can turn our Sirach into a 10-9. That feels pretty good to me. Let's do it. So they're going to double block. We'll draw a card. Alright, we get there again. Alright, hopping into our 6th game here. We are playing a Mythic opponent, which is pretty exciting. We're going to start by keeping this. I do think playing the Sultai Devotee on 2 into the Roamer's Routine on 3 can be really strong for ramping into the Stormbrood and then eventually the Earthcarver. So we're excited about that. We'll see if our opponent keeps their starting hand. Alright, so we'll just start by playing a Forest here. I do think we're not super interested in putting the counters on the Devotee, especially if our opponent is Mardu, because maybe they're just all colors. I just think going the aggressive route is not going to be in our best interest. So we are going to attack with a Sultai Devotee. I'm fine if they want to block. We're cool with that trade. And then we're just going to go and get our... I'm actually going to get the Mountain, because we have another Sultai Devotee. Wow, we just draw an island there, which is a fantastic draw. So we are just going to play out the Stormbrood on their turn. Hopefully they play something here and cannot counter it. We're going to try it. Alright, they might kill it. Okay. So they kill it here, but we still can go with the Dusty Earthcarver next turn and make a 4-4 and a 3-3, which I think feels alright to us. Opponent does have a lot of cards in hand, probably some shenanigans over there. They've got access to every color in their lands. So we're going to play an Ice Ridge Serpent and get rid of our token here, which is not awesome. I'm going to play the Sipsig Appraiser first, just to see what we draw here. So it's an Unending Whisper, which is okay. I also want to see what we draw off that. Lotus Light Dancers is pretty dang strong. So we're going to start by attacking with our Earthcarver here. And then we are just going to play out our Sultai Devotee. The Flesh Crafter on the Earthcarver is quite strong, so doing a good job stabilizing here. I think we're fine blocking with our Sultai Devotee. And then I actually am interested in playing the Lotus Light Dancers. And then we're going to go get our Constrictor Sage and put it into our graveyard, as well as our other Roamer's Routine, just so we're not drawing that card. Now we can Constrictor Sage the Earthcarver, and then still get some decent enough attacks in here with our Earthcarver. And then now we can start kind of filtering our draws with the Village. And hopefully it's enough to get it done here. Our opponent's still got just a ton of cards in hand. So hoping for nothing like a Jeskai Revelation like we experienced on our last video. Knockout Maneuver is quite strong. So I do think we are interested in attacking with the Lotus Light Dancers here. It'll put us up to 23. Them down to 10. So they're going to go down to 10 here. I do think we're going to play the Wayfarer first. And then we'll probably Unending Whisper. I don't want that island. Because now we can Unending Whisper for... I think we might just keep up the Kishla Village here. We're going to end our turn there. I think being able to filter our draw next turn, we can try and go find a removal spell for the Earthcarver and then start attacking a little bit more aggressively here. They've got a Devoted Duelist, which was not on my bingo card. Another Knockout Maneuver is pretty strong here. We also now do have a 6/6. And they're going to start getting aggressive here. I think we're fine just taking this. We're going to get our Surveil on. I don't think we want the Champion of Doosan either. So we're actually going to put it in the graveyard. We'll be able to get its Renew ability here. We do take another land, though, which is unfortunate. I think we're interested in drawing a card here. So we draw a Piercing Exhale, which is at least interesting. I do think we want to just leave it up for their turn. We'll probably have to chump block here, depending on how they attack. Knockout Maneuver is quite strong. Roar of the Endless Song. Good Magic card. So, Death Begets Life is kind of our only out here. I assume they'll keep attacking aggressively. We will chump like this. Well, I think Our only way of winning is if we get Death Begets Life. So let's just chump. Let's surveil and try to go find it. Neither one of those are it. So we need a Death Begets Life off the top. Oh, we don't get it. I don't think we can stay alive here, no matter what we do. Let's see if we were close. We weren't particularly close. Did I already put it in the graveyard this game? No, I didn't. Okay, so we go down here to the Roar of the Endless Song. I don't think there's much we could have done there. Alright, looks like we're playing another Mythic player here. We do get to go first. I am going to keep this. Hopefully we can go get a Swamp with our Einok Wayfarer, and then I do think playing Sirach on 3 is typically a good thing. So, hopefully we can bounce back a little bit here. Thornwood Falls is fine. Hopefully we can get a Swamp here. Okay, not quite, but we do get the Roamer's Routine, which is close to a Swamp. We're going to start by attacking. And then we'll just play out our Sirach Hunter, which cannot be countered, thank goodness. And now I do think it's worth it to try and go get a Swamp. Yeah, let's do that. And we'll just play our Sultai Devotee and then leave up the fresh start for their turn, so that if they play a big threat, we can knock it down and then potentially can also lie in wait on our turn. So I do think we're interested in just starting by attacking here. And then we'll just play out our Champion of Doosan. And then I am interested in just casting our Roamer's Routine to go ahead and go get that Swamp and just kind of go full control here. Now we can go get back either the Sirach or the Lotus Light Dancers with the Lion Weight. Earthcarver too would be decent, just in terms of we could then go get that value back. So a lot of removal, some creatures on the field. Hopefully our opponent can't do too much here. Mammoth the Bellow is pretty good. It's decent at blocking, which is kind of the bummer here. I do think we might just go get the Sirach and the Lotus Light Dancers and double removal spell. Just extracting maximum value here. Let's do that. And then we're going to also lie in wait with the Lotus Light Dancers. That way when the Lotus Light Dancers enter next turn, we can go get the Constrictor, which will tap down our opponent's creature. We've still got a Jumpstart here, so just trying to put on as much value as we can here. And we're sprinting. I realized that was a very, very aggressively slanted play there. Looks like they're going to go get a land instead of playing out a Sagu Wildling. Sage of the Skies is pretty fantastic here. I'm going to play our Sirach first. If they end up countering or targeting any creature that we play. And then we are going to attack with these two creatures. And then I do think we are at least somewhat interested in knocking down this lifelinker, taking the other one out, and then just playing out our other Sultai Devotee for maximum pressure here. We can then put a trample counter on a creature. Hopefully this is enough to get it done. So looks like they're going to make their own Sirach, which is interesting. So I'm going to start by just like attempting lethal here. We're going to put a counter on the Sultai Devotee, and then we're going to attack everywhere. If they have nothing, no other action, this is lethal. All right, cool. We get there here. All right, hopping into this next one. We are now sitting at 5-2, but I don't think we can keep this. I just think if we don't draw a forest, it's kind of worst case scenario. So we're going to take a mulligan. Wow, this is really fortunate we got our colors. We're going to try this. We'll put one of the lion weights back. And we will start by just playing out probably a Sultai Devotee here. Just kidding. We're going to play out our Herd Heirloom, and then next turn we can play out the Eshki Dragonclaw. So that's kind of dumb. And then if it gets killed, we can then play out the Lion Weight. So that's pretty silly. Dragon Sniper is pretty solid here in terms of stopping our Eshki Dragonclaw. I do think we're going to go for the Roamer's Routine. We'll go and we will get a mountain just in case. And now I'm going to play the Sultai Devotee. Turn this into a 6/6 and draw a card. And then I don't think we want to trade with the Dragon Sniper, so we're just going to hold off here. Looks like they do have a Piercing Exhale here for our Eshki Dragonclaw, which is a bit of a bummer. But next turn we can return it back with the Lion Weight to our hand, so kind of excited about that. I think now, a little bit in a weird mode, I'm actually going to block the Dragon Sniper so that our Eshki Dragonclaw is decent on this board. So now we can go Lion Weight into the Eshki, turn it into a 6/6 and draw a card. Feels okay to me. So now we can go Champion of Doosan into Roamer's Routine. We'll go get another forest. It'll turn into an 8/8. We'll draw a card. We'll draw another card. And then I'm just going to hold up the Piercing Exhale here. Oh, we can't. We used our forest action, so we'll just draw a card. Okay, that's fine by us. So we'll have Piercing Exhale next turn, and hopefully you can just get some value, continue to get some value off this Eshki Dragonclaw. The Skyrider is not good. All right, we get there here as well. So we're going to be playing for a trophy. All right, hopping into this last game, we have our colors, and we are playing for a trophy. And remember, if I get a trophy, I'm giving away a draft to one of you. So hopefully we can get this win here. We're going to be keeping this hand. All right, so we are excited to be playing a Sultai Devotee on 2, and then probably a Champion of Doosan on 3. I think we are like moderately okay with trading here. We probably don't want to. They are going to Roamer's Routine, so they're going to be looking for some value as well. Hopefully we can outvalue our opponents here. So we are just going to play out our Champion of Doosan. And then I do think we're going to attack. That way they can't block our Champion of Doosan with Agent of Kodos next turn. Here we get a couple points of damage in. So here they have an Inoc Wayfarer looking for even more land action. They do have a Lotus Light Dancer, so kind of like us, just going for a maximum value, play all the colors type of deck here. So it looks like we might try and get a little bit aggressive here. We do draw our Lotus Light Dancers. I am going to start by just attacking with our Champion of Doosan, and then hopefully next turn we can draw a land and play out either the Lotus Light Dancers or the Constrictor Sage. So I messed up there. I should have fresh started that after they played it, before they cast their next spell. So they're getting a free bird here, which is not fantastic, but is also not the end of the world. So we do not draw a land yet. I do think we're going to start by drawing a card to see if we can draw it here. So we do draw that, which is good. I'm going to play aggressively and attack with the Champion of Doosan here. If they want to block like this, I'm more than happy with that. And then I was going to say we can lie in wait and take out the Agent of Codis or take out the bird here. But even that feels a little bit aggressive. I think we're just going to draw another card. Awesome. So next turn we can go with the Earth Carver, the Sage, or the Lotus Light Dancers. Really depends. I want to save the lie in wait for something more worth taking out here. Jessica Revelation obviously is quite strong. So they do get some card advantage back here. I do think we're just going to play out the Dussiad Earthcarver. Hopefully we can do a decent job blocking their tokens, their flyer, and the Agent of Codis here. I'm going to play out a Temur Monument and potentially crack it and make a elephant here. Yikes. I don't love this attack. Let's block like this. We'll see what they have. This can get pretty dicey pretty fast here, just with them having every single color available. Caustic Exhale is honestly fine. We'll take 6. I'd assume they're just going to crack the Temur Monument here and make a elephant. But who am I to say? Rite of Renewal is pretty strong. Maybe we should consider playing that in our deck. So here, I do think we're going to go with the Constrictor Sage into the Sultai Devotee. And then we actually will be attacking. So they're going to get some value with another bird here, which is not fantastic. Hopefully next turn we can flash block it with the Whirling Stormbrood. We'll see what they go get here. So if we draw an untapped land here, we might go lie in wait into the Whirling Stormbrood eventually. So we draw an Eshki Dragonclaw, which is not quite what we were looking for. I do think we're going to attempt to flash block with the Whirling Stormbrood. So all we can really do is like put a counter on something with a Champion of Doosan here. So let's do that. This is pretty defensive. But I think this gives us our best chance. They're probably just going to attack in the sky here to hopefully pick off their Wingblade Disciple. We're trying. We got Jessica Revelation. We're trying to hang in there. It's a fantastic Magic card. They also do have access to a bajillion mana here. Holy cow. So they have an Eshki of their own. So a lot of similar cards here. So they're going to turn it into a 6/6. Draw a card. So like Death Begets Life would be a pretty good draw here. I do think we're going to block the Wingblade Disciple with the Stormbrood, which is pretty good. We are going to block like this, and we're going to just try and hang on here. So we're just a mana short to really do everything we want to do. I think we have to play the Lotus Light Dancers here. And we will put the Roamer's Routine and the... I guess we want to put a blue card there just so we can try and draw Death Begets Life. But even still, it's going to be tough. Let's throw like a lot. Let's throw a Sipsic Appraiser in there. And then I do think we have to go try and get a land here. Just so we can try and cast our Death Begets Life if we draw it. So definitely in a tough spot here. But hopefully we can do enough to stabilize. At least for a second. Yathan Roadwatcher is really good too. So just like a ton of rares. I will say our opponent's got 5 cards in their library. So if we Death Begets Life, they might literally not have enough to get it done. We just have to draw that card. 1 in 20 shot here. If they have a removal spell, we're also pretty toast. Revival of the Ancestors is great. So look, our opponent is crushing it. They'll get to make their Eshki Dragonclaw into an 8/8. This format is interesting sometimes. So we have to, if we block like this, we block like this, we block like this, we're going to take 6, 7, 8 and gain 3. So it's going to be exact. Let's try it. If they have any effect here, we just lose. So I did my math wrong, and we lose.
Well, I guess I'm a loser. A loser.
Which is okay. So we do end up falling just short here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be given a draft today. Here is what our final deck looks like. It was really strong. That last game, I don't think we're winning, even if I did do that math correctly and quickly. Maybe a Death Begets Life gets us there, but unfortunately we are not going to know. So in order to claim this giveaway, you have to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on what I should have maybe done differently. I'll be giving away a mythic card here, so go ahead if you want that. Subscribe to the channel. We're doing lots of fun challenges and giveaways, so if you enjoy that, I would appreciate your subscription. Thanks y'all for watching. Until next time.